Can y'all hear me pretty good? Good evening, everybody. Thank you all. I did. We just want to first off thank you all for taking time out of your busy days, busy evenings to come join us for this informational presentation. There are a lot of steps that we're going to cover today, but before we jump into that, I do want to introduce a couple of people just for y'all to be aware of in the building. My name is Cameron Moody. I'm the school counselor for the class of 2028.
Hi, I'm Ms. Garcia. I am the school counselor for the class of 2029. And we have Ms. Z over there. She is the current junior counselor, going to be senior counselor next year.
We also have a special guest joining us directly from PHSC, Mr. Elisha Bihan. He is going to be the academic advisor who oversees Land O'Lakes High School. So questions involving anything PHSC related, that's going to be the person who kind of oversees things. So we're going to give him some time at the end to kind of answer any of those college-specific questions. But basically, what we're going to cover today is, I know there's a lot of information that when it comes to dual enrollment, so we just wanted to make sure that y'all are not only aware of the process, but so that you have the chance to ask any questions that you may have been wondering as your students get prepared for the dual enrollment process. But mainly we're going to focus on the process itself of getting signed up. So I know a lot of your students have recently taken the PERT. Some of them took the PERT last year. So once they've met eligibility requirements, there are still some steps that they have to complete to be able to take the courses that are offered. And so we wanted to just make sure to go through all of those so that you all have an idea of what is required so that they can take those classes when they enter into school year next year. Okay? So just a quick overview. We're going to just cover, there's a number of those steps, and we're just going to go through them one by one, just so that you all have that kind of like linear process of how it works. And then at the end, we're going to just spend some time going over some of the most common questions that folks ask, and then we're going to give you all some time to ask us questions so that we can clear some of the things that you might be wondering about dual enrollment. So step one.
All right, so step one is obviously your student applies to PHSC. So here on the Land O'Lakes High School campus, we have mainly PHSC courses, but we also offer a USF course, biology. So in order to qualify, the black is what PHSC requirements are, and the green font is what the USF requirements are. So the main difference is for PHSC, they have to have an unweighted 3.0. For that USF course, they have to have a 3.5 and pass the PERT math. And before we go really into this, know that this will be on our Land O'Lakes High School website. There are links to this. There are specific steps to this. So if you're like, oh no, I want to take a screenshot of this, please know we're going to be posting this on the Land O'Lakes High School website. So again, those are PHSC requirements, USF requirements. For USF, you must pass the PERT math of a 114 or higher in order to do the biology that we offer here on campus. These are the PERT scores that you must pass, the SAT, the ACT, or the CLT. So you have to meet one of these scores. The most popular one that we offer here and that is offered at PHSC is the PERT. So that is usually what the students take and what we offered, I believe, a couple weeks ago. So to complete the online application, that is your very first step after you meet the test scores and that unweighted GPA. So one important thing to know is when they do the application, it must be the dual enrollment application. If it's the normal application for PHSC, they're going to ask for transcripts. If it's the dual enrollment one, they don't ask for transcripts because we upload your transcript. So again, if you're like, how do I get to that? It's going to be posted. It's right here. This is the application link right here. So if there's a question about it, please refer back to this PowerPoint. Make sure to apply as a dual enrollment student and not a regular PHSC student. Really, really important. Then you take the PERT. For testing locations, if you happen to not pass the PERT here, you can go to PHSC This is the website that you go to. You can also Google it, PHSC PERT. The link is the very first link, and you can sign up to take that test either remotely or on campus. For USF, so dual enrollment students enrolling in that biology class, you must do the USF online application before May 29th, and it has to be a non-degree dual enrollment application. So again, that is hyperlinked, that is hyperlinked, so it should take you directly to that. You have to submit immunizations to USF and the Student Health Services, and the steps to doing that, again, are right below there on that bullet point. Make sure you write down the information that you used to apply, because you will need that as a USF student. So it's going to ask you multiple things. Then you take the PERT. Again, you must score the math specific score for a 114 or higher in order to do that biology class. And for testing hours and locations, we put the testing information there. After taking the PERT, please bring that to your high school counselor, because we have to upload those test scores to our district office. So if you take it not on the high school campus and you take it at PHSC, please bring the score report to us, because we have to upload it.
Perfect. So once they've met the requirements, once they've completed the application, the next step is going to be identifying the courses that they want to take. So students have the opportunity to take classes in the fall. They have opportunity to take classes in the spring. They also have opportunities to take classes in the summertime as well. So when we're talking about, planning for the semester that is upcoming, essentially the credit hours that they have the ability to take differ based on what they scored on the PERT. So we recently offered the PERT test. We offered the reading, writing, and math portion. If they pass all three sections, so if they earn a 106 on the reading, a 103 on the writing, and a 114 or higher on the math, as juniors and seniors, their ability to take credits is capped at 16 credits per semester. So that's essentially like 4 or 5 classes. As sophomores, they can take up to 7 credit hours on the PHSC campus or online, and then the rest, again, if they meet all 3 of those scores, have to be taken either at the high school or online through Pasco eSchool. Again, this is just for sophomores and below, they have to be approved for the ability to take more than 7. So that would be something where you'd want to talk to your school counselor, maybe even talk to the PHSC advisor, just to make sure that because they're taking on the dual enrollment classes a little bit earlier on in their high school career, that it's something that meets their requirements. Okay? As freshmen, they can take up to 3 credit hours per semester. So basically 1 class per semester. And the classes have to be either online or at the high school campus. And so that's, again, I mentioned if they pass the reading, the writing, and the math. If they only pass the reading and the writing, then they can take up to 12 total credits. So basically without the math, they're capped at 12 total credits. Once they've got that 114 math score or higher, then that opens them up with the ability to take 16 credits per semester. If they're thinking about taking classes in the summertime, if they are a current 10th grade student, so then they're rising to be an 11th grade student next year, they can take up to 7 credits in the summertime. If they're an 11th grade student rising to be a senior, they can take up to 8 credits in the summertime. And then if they're 9th graders going into the 10th grade, they can take up to 3 credits in the summertime. Okay, so one important thing to know about the summer term is that the summer term actually starts while we're still in school. So I believe the first day is the 11th of May. So when they are looking to do that, if that's something they're thinking about doing, one important thing to note, to make sure of, is that when they are looking to register for courses, which we'll talk about later, we just have to make sure that even if it's only for the last 2 weeks of the school year, the classes that they choose cannot conflict with their school classes. So they have to be post 135. Okay? So this is a list of the classes that we offer on our campus. So we offer, the most common one is the English course. So we offer English Composition 1 in the fall. we offer English Composition 2 in the spring. Those two classes actually satisfy their third and fourth English credit for high school. So one of the things that we get a lot of questions about is, well, how does it compare to high school? So all of the classes they would take with PHSC or that one USF class, all of them count for college credit and for high school credit. So that's the concept of dual enrollment, is that they're getting both satisfied at the same time. So for English Composition 1, that satisfies their third year of English for high school. English Composition 2 satisfies their fourth year of English. Okay? We offer U.S. history on our campus, so the 2 semesters of U.S. history just satisfy one credit of high school U.S. history. The biology courses, which are the USF courses, those courses satisfy a full credit for the first semester and a full credit for the second semester, because there's that lab component. And then we also offer college algebra, we offer trigonometry, which also both satisfy a full year for each semester. And then we offer a new course this coming year, which is going to be our college study skills class. So that just satisfies a half credit of a high school elective. Okay? So those are all the classes that we offer on our campus. The rule that we have, the agreement that we have with PHSC is that if a course is offered on the high school campus, students have to take the high school campus version. If it's not offered on the high school campus, but it's offered through Pasco eSchool, then they have to take the Pasco eSchool version. And so this is a list of the courses that are offered through Pasco eSchool. So they offer public speaking, microcomputer applications, intro to business and entrepreneurship, beginning Spanish 1 and 2, and then the intro to humanities course. So again, if it's not offered on our campus, but it's offered through Pasco eSchool, then they have to take it through Pasco eSchool. And then if it's not offered on either of those places, then that is where they would take it either at the college or they would take it online through the college. So there's 4 ways that they can take classes. Okay, so what we did here was, this is just a picture of what it looks like when students go to search for the classes that are offered. So we've included the link up here, and what you would do is you would just go and search for the following term, and then you would just come, when you would search for the following term, you would just come up with a list of the classes that are offered, and that'll give you an idea of what some of the courses that they can choose from while they are in the planning process. Okay, just kind of walks you through. So this is all stuff that when we post the presentation, I would just kind of resort to these steps as you look through, so that you can walk yourself through that presentation. And so when you go through, there's usually a description of the courses. So the course description will give you what the course is about, but it will also give you the prerequisites. So as they plan, you want to make sure that if they're going to choose a course, that they've already taken what's called the prerequisite course. Because there's a lot of courses that are available, but if the students don't have the prerequisite, they just can't take it to that prerequisite. This is just an example of the paper document that we provide. So every semester, when we're preparing for them to register for the following semester, the district releases what's called a dual enrollment course request planning worksheet. So it's kind of similar to how y'all got the course cards for high school. This is like the dual enrollment course card. So this gives students a chance to kind of go through, plan. They can write down the courses that they're taking. They can check off the boxes where they're thinking about taking the courses. So when they actually go in to do the online portion of the registration, they can just use this as their guide. Okay, so this is not necessarily a requirement for them to do. This is 100% optional. It is just for them when they are in the planning process. If they want to come and ask questions, then they can bring this to us. We can kind of help them through that process. Okay.
And one thing to piggyback from that, we can tell your student what requirements they need to meet high school requirements. That's our job, that's part of what we do. If they want to know what college class is a prerequisite, what they need to take for college purposes, we are going to point them in the direction of our college advisor, our PHSC advisor, because that is their job to tell you what's a prerequisite, what's this or what's that. We're gonna give you their email, because that's their expertise, that's not our expertise. Our expertise is to get your student to graduate high school. So just like a little tidbit of that. But the next step is the dynamic form. This is the biggest step. So step one is your student, or you guys, fill out this dynamic form. You use your username and your password, you log in for on your Bobcat portal, and you'll get an email, you'll get the website of where you fill out that dynamic form. It'll be sent to you. This is another thing. If you're a student and you do dual enrollment, you must check your My Student email. You must check your My Student email. It's the only way that we can get out information to you. So please, please, please check that, because the dynamic form link will be on that email that we send to you. So you have your username, you have your password, you go to the website for the dynamic form, which will again be emailed to you. Then after that, you'll go to this link. After you click that, on the right-hand side it says Dual Enrollment Online Request Form. And this one says Summer 2025, but obviously it'll be whatever term you're about to register for. You click that, then that brings you, so this is different. This is WISE. The other one looks like, it's called Banner, but it's the same kind of format. You put your login, you put your password. Again, it gives you instructions. If you're like, I don't know what that is, you can follow the instructions to the right, or we can email our PHSE advisor. But after you put in your credentials, you want to make sure, so a couple things before this dynamic form, very, very important. Make sure you put your parent email that is correct and accessible. There are a lot of people who create these and the parent email does not match what they use for their account. The parent email must match. And I know you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I promise you, once you do it the first time, it's going to make more sense. And just refer to this email, this PowerPoint, refer to this PowerPoint. So the parent email must match whatever email you're creating. And then when you enter your classes, add as many courses as possible to increase your chances of getting that class. Again, it's going to make more sense when I go through it. You're going to put high school campus if it's on the high school campus. So Mr. Moody just went over all the classes that we offer for the high school campus. If it's Pasco eSchool, you'll put Pasco eSchool. And then if you're taking a DE course not offered through Pasco eSchool or LOLHS, you're going to put PHSE on campus or online. Very, very important. PHSE on campus or online to increase the number of sections available for that class. And then important, make sure you hit next all the way to the end until it asks for the signature page. And I know you all are like, I have no idea what you're talking about, so we're going to show you. So the next slide is what it looks like. So once you put in your login and email, then it'll take you to a page that looks like this. When it says email, this is for the parent section. It needs to be the same as the parent email that is linked to the parent account. So make sure it's something that your parent checks. Very, very important. Then high school counselor will be one of the three of us. Then your PHSE advisor, I think it probably only shows the PHSE advisor because we only have one. So after that, all information. Then you go into choosing the courses that you want. So remember when I said if it's on high school, make sure you do high school. If it's on PHSE, make sure it's PHSE on campus or online. As you can notice, there are 14 slots. Your student is not going to take 14 classes, but the more classes they put on their dynamic form, the more chances they will have of getting that class, because it's not guaranteed that you get a dual enrollment class. In fact, a lot of times they fill up because dual enrollment students are the last to register. So it's important that you put a ton of classes that you or your student wants to take to increase the chances of getting that class. So again, this is what the student does. They do the drop downs, they do all the classes. Again, make sure it's the correct campus. If it's not, we're going to send it back to you to review and do over. All that. Yep. And then this is when you know you finished it. It's the electronic signature page. You type your first, your last name, and then you sign it electronically. And then you, as the student, is done, and it gets emailed to your parent. And then the parent So the parent will need to make an account using your specific email address that the student entered. That's what we're saying, why it has to match. So whatever email your student puts in has to match whatever you make your parent account. Very, very important. Once the parent receives the email, they will need to sign in with your account, make your account. Again, if email confirmation is not received, check your spam for an email from that NG Web Solutions. That's what it's called. Then you'll click, this is what the email will look like, and you'll click that dynamic form, create new account if you've never done this before. You'll create account, and then you just do the same thing. You will approve it, or it'll say parent approval, and there'll be a little thing that you check. And then it goes on to this page, you sign it, sign electronically, and then it gets sent to us. So first student, then parent, then us. So we look over it, we get it, we look through it correctly, make sure if it's a class on here, it says high school campus. If it's a class on Pasco eSchool, it says Pasco eSchool. Those are the types of things we're looking for. We also upload the transcript and any test scores that we have, SAT, PERT score. That's why it's important for if you're taking it at PHSC to give us those PERT scores. Very, very important. So we will get it, we'll approve it. Once it's approved, then it gets sent to the PHSC advisor. So after the PHSC advisor gets it, he will review it, will receive an email from notification from a PHSC advisor of approved or denied. This is very, very important. So if you are taking a class or want to take a class at PHSC, but you don't have a prerequisite, or you don't have the certain test scores, or something that you don't have, the PHSC advisor will deny it, and the notification will be sent to your PHSC email. So you must check your My Student and your PHSC email if you're taking a class regardless, but especially if you're taking a class at PHSC, because that's how the PHSC advisor will advise you if your class is approved or denied on that dynamic form. And you can access your student email by logging in the My PHSC portal, and we have the link right there as well. This is a lot, I know, it's very tedious. Then the PHSC advisor is going to, over here, either approve or deny a class, and then tell you why it was approved or denied. Then they'll either send it back to you, or you have to do a new dynamic form. You do not need to relist the courses that were approved. We don't need another one. We just need, if a course was denied and you want to pick something else, then it would just be that new course, whatever one that you want. We don't need a full new dynamic form. Just the one that you're replacing with that one, if you wanted to do that. So then after that, again, you'll get an email and the PHSC email of what's been approved and what's been denied.
So one thing I kind of want to piggyback on what Ms. Garcia was talking about. So one of the most common reasons that classes get denied is when they put the incorrect location. So that's a common reason. Another common reason, which is what we took a picture of up here, if your student is going to take a science that has a lab with it, so one of them is human anatomy and physiology, when they fill out the dynamic forms, they have to put a slot for the course itself and a separate slot for the lab. Because what will happen is if they just put a slot for the course but no lab, it'll get sent back. So just something to keep in mind as you go through, just make sure that the location is correct, and that if it is a class that has a lab accompanying it, that they include the lab onto another dynamic form line. Okay? So once they've done that, once they've got their application done, they filled out their dynamic form, the next step they're going to have to do is they're going to have to complete something that's going to be within their PHSC student portal. So just as if they were a PHSC student, they registered, they're in there, they have to complete two things. So the first thing they have to do is called the new student online orientation. So just as if you were a first-time college student, what's going to happen is before they can even register for their courses, so they complete their dynamic form, For the courses that are being offered at PHSC or online through PHSC, which we'll cover in a little bit, they'll actually have to go into their account and register for those courses. Before they're going to be able to do that, they have to complete this orientation, because if they do not, there will be a hold on their registration. So once they got the PERT scores, once they've completed the dynamic form, honestly, I would say as soon as they get their PHSE ID number, go into your account, complete the orientation. Okay, so essentially it's just kind of getting them used to the system. It's just kind of teaching them a little bit about how the operation system works, how being a college student works. It's just something that all PHSE students have to do. And so it'll be in their PHSE student portal. Okay, so as soon as they get their PHSE ID number, they'll have access to that. They do use Canvas, similar to how we use Canvas. So they'll notice that a lot of the things look similar to what they do when they're in their high school account, but it is a separate account. So they're going to need to kind of go back and forth between the two accounts when they do dual enrollment, because they are officially a PHSE student. Once they've done that, they also have to complete what's called an online readiness course. So those are the two basically new student things that they have to do once they become eligible. But they only have to do them once. So if they're a first-time student, once they do them, they're done. They never have to do them ever again. They do take, they take a couple of hours to complete, but once they've completed them, that's it, they're good. And then once they do that, then, once their dynamic form and all that is approved, then when it comes time for them to actually have to log into their account and register for the following semester, they'll be able to register. And so their registration options are going to be based on what was on the dynamic form. But these two things are going to be your most important steps to complete before you can actually register. Okay?
All right, so once you do those 20 million steps, you will register for the approved classes. Something to know, if they're doing a class on the high school campus, so any of those classes we had on the high school campus, they're automatically registered with us. They don't have to do the process that I'm about to explain. Again, if they're doing a class on here, like on the high school campus, we register for them, so it's a little bit easier. If they are doing a class at PHSC, online or face-to-face, they will have to go through the process of registering. I'm going to point out this website right here, this dual enrollment, oh wait, no, not this website. This one, Pasco County dual enrollment page is amazing. I strongly, strongly suggest looking through. They have resources, they have PowerPoint presentations about registering. They did an awesome, awesome job, and I reference this multiple times. So if you have questions about registering, there's tutorials, there's PowerPoints, there's videos. This dual enrollment page on the Pasco County website is very, very good. But again, students can register, can only register for the courses that they put on their dynamic form. That's why the dynamic form is so important. And that's why we want you to load up your classes. If you can take 16, if you're a junior and senior, you can take 16 credit hours, fill up those courses, because some might get filled. And you can't register for a class that's not on your dynamic form. Very, very important. Okay. So for registration, can you go back one? To know how to register, I would go on this page, only if your student is taking a class at PHSC or online through PHSC. If they're taking a class on the high school campus, we register them. If they're taking a class through Pasco eSchool, there's going to be specific instructions on that, what is it called? The planning worksheet. The planning worksheet that we will email out, that's why you have to check your My Student email. There will be specific instructions on how to register for a Pasco eSchool class. It changes, honestly, every semester, so I can't tell you what that's going to look like, but it will be on that form that we email out. And again, if you have questions, email us. We are fairly good with emailing back and understanding that we understand this is a lengthy process, because it is. But again, I can't stress this enough. It's a great, great website. So we have some frequently asked questions. So do I get my 504 or my IEP accommodations for dual enrollment classes? Students with IEPs or 504s can get their accommodations and DE courses at PHSC or online with PHSC if they are approved by PHSC, the Student Accessibility Services Department. So for PHSC courses at the college, it's the student's responsibility to submit their 504 or their IEP accommodations to PHSC for approval. We do not do that. Again, they're dual enrollment students, they are college students. So a lot of this information and a lot of deadlines will be on them to complete. So if they have a 504 or an IEP, you must contact PHSC and submit that documentation to them for approval. What should I do if I have technical difficulties? For the dynamic form, we point them all the time to the PHSC help desk. I think we have that number memorized. Or that email address, helpdesk@PHSC, or you can email the PHSC advisor as well. But we usually give the phone number or the email address if you have technical issues. We won't know. We work here. We don't work at PHSC. So we're going to point you in their direction. So we can't help with technical difficulties, but we can point you in the right direction, and these are two phone number and email address for them. Do I have to pay anything for dual enrollment? No, you do not pay anything. Dual enrollment is free for high school students, including textbooks. You do not pay for anything. So if you are a dual enrollment student and you want to graduate early, don't, because it's free college. So I'm just going to put that out there.
Another thing too that I want to point out is every semester when they're getting ready to start, there is usually like a time frame where they can pick up their textbooks. We usually do, I say we, school district usually does a textbook pickup time frame, so it'll usually be like a week or so long, where we'll be communicating that to you when it comes out. They just have to stop by. It's going to be in one of the district buildings. They either get an actual textbook, a hard copy, or if it's a course that uses an online textbook, they get a course code. Okay, so those are always along with, usually it's around the same time as the worksheets come out, but if it's different, we'll send that out to you all once we get it. Another question we get a lot is, am I able to drop a DE course? So the add drop period for PHSE courses is the first week of the semester. So they usually start the semester, or they usually start a week after we start. And so with students who are taking DE courses, they have that first week of school where they're used to getting back into the groove of things. Then the PHSC courses usually start. They have until that Friday to either add or drop courses that they choose. Once that Friday comes, then they end up having to look for, if they want to kind of get rid of a class, it becomes a withdrawal, correct?
The add is a little different.
Okay.
So when you want to add a course, you only have to the class met for the first time, typically. This might change in the future, but if the class starts on Tuesday, you only have until Tuesday to add it to your account. If you miss the first class, you cannot get into that class. With online classes, you only have until Wednesday. Now, sometimes they change this every semester, and enrollment's a little bit lower, so you can definitely drop that week, but you might have a slightly harder time adding. You definitely might need to see us or contact us if you have any issues. But that's definitely the week you can drop, but add is sometimes comes caveat, so we can always help you with that over at PHSE.
So if you miss the drop window, and by all means correct us if we speak out of line here, then you enter into the time frame where if you want to drop a course, then you have to apply for either a late drop or a late withdrawal. So that's going to be after that first Friday of the semester. If they're struggling, they want to get rid of the course for whatever reason, so there's extenuating circumstances, those things are things that they can apply for. Again, it's going to be based on case by case, depending on what's going on. But once that Friday of the first week of the semester is passed, then it becomes either a late drop or a late withdrawal. Doesn't really happen that often, but sometimes it does. I would get questions about what happens if I fail my DE course. So major thing that we like to emphasize with students who are wanting to do DE. Once they take these courses, the benefit, but the risk is that these courses are counting for high school credit, they're going on their high school transcript, but they're also starting their college transcript. So in the case that a student gets an F in a dual enrollment course, they cannot forgive the course while they're in high school. I believe they can retake it while they're at PHSC or no?
When they're a high school student, you cannot retake it.
Got you. Okay. So very important. Just make sure that they're on top of their stuff. The other piece of the puzzle when it comes to grades is while they are dual enrollment students, they have to maintain a 3.0 high school unweighted GPA to stay eligible. And then from a PHSC standpoint, they have to maintain a 2.0 GPA in their PHSC courses. So that's essentially a C average. If they fall below that C average, then their ability to do dual enrollment is removed. So that's super important that when they're doing dual enrollment, that they're staying on top of their studies, not only from a PHSC standpoint, but from a high school standpoint as well. Because if they fall below the 3.0 from a high school standpoint, same thing applies. The following semester, we have to find different classes for them to take. And then just some general questions. If you have questions, we put Mr. Behan's email up here for you all to reach out for PHSC questions. If you have questions specifically for the biology class that we offer on campus, which is a USF course, we have the USF dual enrollment information up there. And then, like Ms. Garcia said, definitely want to point you all to the Pasco County dual enrollment page. It's pretty comprehensive. They've covered pretty much everything on there that you need to know. And then just for additional information regarding both of the dual enrollment programs, we included both PHSC's link and USF's link on this slide as well. So.
Also real quick, I get a lot of questions about this. All college classes go by term. So high school, we have year-long classes. That doesn't exist with college. So every year, there's a fall, there's a spring, and there's a summer. And students have to fill out that dynamic form, that request form that we just went through before every semester. Every time you have to fill that out. So it gets easier the more you do it, but that is a big question. Like there's a fall, there's a spring, there's a summer, there's a fall, and you have to fill out that same paperwork, the dynamic form, every single term. Just want to make sure that's super clear, because that can get a little confusing, high school versus college.
Yeah, the dynamic forms are usually released a couple of weeks before this. So like for us, we're preparing for the fall. We usually get the fall dynamic forms like mid-April, so the district releases it to us. So we're saying that we check the parents and check their emails. Just make sure they're looking around that time a little bit more heavily, because as soon as they're released, the deadlines for the following semester are the end of the school year. So we want to make sure they accomplish all those things. You can ask questions if you get stuck before we go on summer, and then it's kind of like it's not sure sometimes. So just let me yeah.
When contacting me, if you can please include your student ID number, your PHSC ID number. There's a lot of different steps you have to do when you're working between both systems, but I won't know who you are. So please, when you email me, include your student ID number, because if they only have the name based off your email, I might not be able to help you, and it'll kind of delay your response. Another big thing is when you're emailing me, you have to email me from your PhD email. You will be given an email address as a PhD student. If you do not email me from that, it might go to our firewall, I might not receive it. Sometimes it does get through, but I just highly recommend using our email to email us. It just makes everything more simple, and I'll know who you are when I'm emailing you as well. The biggest thing I'll also say is to please email me as your advisor. There's a couple different ways to see advisors. You can go to any of the campuses, you can come in and see me, or you can put in a ticket. I recommend just emailing me when you have an issue, because once you add other people to Here, they're not gonna be aware of everything. I work with your counselors, I work with the schools, so I'll be more aware of what's going on. That way we can kind of avoid misinformation and just make sure everyone helps in a streamlined way. So please don't submit in tickets. Please either work with an advisor, try to work with me unless you have to see someone that day, just to avoid any issues. That should be it. I will get back to you as soon as I can. I am the Land Lakes advisor, but I'm also the Hudson advisor. I'm also still seeing regular dual enrollment students, regular college students. I try to get back to the students within 24 hours. We do not work on the weekends, so if you email me after 4:30 on Friday, I will not get back to you probably till Monday or late Monday. But I will get back to you, I promise. I'll do my best to answer you in some timely manner, but try to avoid any issues. Please try to email me directly. That's the best way to get information taken care of and resolved in a proper manner.
All right, I mean, these are just some resources that we thought would be beneficial for y'all to have. But other than that, that's really all we got. So I definitely want to open it up for questions. I know there might be some. We can ask whatever y'all have. Yeah.
Yes, sir. In unforeseen circumstances, we have, I have two questions. You have pass-fail in your courses, and then you have, what's the prior? Is it first come, first serve for the class? Your resident for the class?
As far as classes that are offered at PHSC,
Is pass-fail, you offer a pass-fail for someone struggling out of, or someone who has a deaf family, or someone that you never know what's going to happen in people's lives.
So that's why he brought up the exception process. So if you have something that happened unforeseen, that would be consideration for a late drop. It will still show up on your transcript. It'll show up in your transcript as an LD or something else they do change in the future, but we do have that process. That being said, this is a very official process. And you have up to a year from the date that grade's posted to change it. So you first are going to want to withdraw from the class. Because the withdrawal protects your GPA in the meantime, which is very important for you to remain a dual enrollment student. So you have any issue, a family member passes away, unexpected medical issues, you're first going to withdraw from the class. You don't have to go about withdrawing, but you'll start that process first. And then you submit the form for an exception process. You'll contact me in advising, or just start with your guidance counselor, but I ultimately will be the one turning it in for you to do that process. You'll need official documentation. So of course, I would hope no one would lie, but if you try to say that someone passed away, they didn't, that wouldn't be good for you, because you would have to provide sometimes the memorial page, you might have to provide official medical documentation from your doctor, so it will require official paperwork. We can't go based off word. It will have it's a whole involved process. And it does take time, but we do give you up to a year to do that exception process.
And the question was, the prior was like applying, I was just like trying to make a program for a class. Do they put it prior to this, who has a high GPA, or is it first come, first serve?
It is not first come, first serve in a way. We go based off of seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, but after that is first come, first serve. I think there is going to be some plans to change it based off of credits done, but they're still working on that. But technically, it would be first come, first serve, really when you get past that first week of opening for the semester. And all that stuff will be on the academic calendar. We want you to know everything you might need on our website is really helpful. It's going to be on there. The academic calendar is at the footer of the website, and that will tell you when. We have a whole section for dual enrollment. So if everyone know when you can get registered, it should be on there, and it should also be on the actual dual enrollment website. They recently worked on the academic calendar, so it's much more easier to read now.
yeah, I can speak to it from the high school side. When we release the request worksheet that the students can use as a guide, and it has all the deadlines, one of the pieces of information that's on there is it'll have when the registration window opens, and it's usually based on grade level and credits earned, and that's dual enrollment credits earned. So the first, this is specifically for dual enrollment students, so the earliest window that opens is going to be for seniors with the most credits. So that might be like, let's say, April 28th. Then April 29th might be the window for juniors with the most credits. And then it'll be based on day and then time. So it'll just go day by day. And like he was saying, once the window opens for the 9th graders, then it's essentially, now everybody can register. Does that make sense? Cool. Yeah, question?
I may have missed it, so my apologies. Do you think it's a dual enrollment
question. So when they take dual enrollment classes, it's going to be on their schedule in some way, shape, or form. So if they have a class that's offered here, it'll show up on their schedule, their Mandel Lake schedule, the same as any other course would. So it'll be one of their 6 classes. If they're going to take a class that's at the college, online, or offered through Pasco eSchool, what they'll have on their schedule is a PHSC off-campus placeholder. And so what that's telling us, it'll still be one of their 6 slots on their schedule, but what that's telling us is that they are taking a dual enrollment class that is not offered here. So for each, so like let's say for example, a student wants to take 3 dual enrollment classes that are not offered here, on their Mandel Lake schedule, they'll have 3 PHSE off-campus placeholders.
And so during the day then, if they only have, are they still taking like 6 regular Mandel Lake High School courses? Or there'll be spaces there on their schedule where they won't have?
Yeah. So like, so if they take, let's say they take, let's use the example of 3, they would have 3 PHSE off-campus placeholders, and they would have 3 of whatever class that they're taking here. Yeah, so there's going to be no situation where they take a dual enrollment course that's not signified on their schedule. So they have to match up the number of courses that they're taking with the number of placeholders that they have on their schedule.
Okay, so, sorry, one more time to answer that question.
Yeah.
If they're taking a class that's offered on campus, so it's on their day, just like, you know, if they were to dual or not, that dual enrollment class is like now in a spot of where like a basic general high school class would have been.
Yes.
So they need to have like the space to take like I want to make sure I say it right, like they need to have the opportunity where they're not missing out on 4 classes from high school to be able to take that dual enrollment, right?
No, it's counting for both. So the class would count for both. Yep. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. So yeah, every class they take is going to count for some high school credit they need.
Okay, so it's not like in lieu of, it's going to happen simultaneously given in high school, and so they're not missing out on something that they would have.
Correct. Correct.
We got to counsel on like not.
Yep. So the first thing that we check for when they do the dynamic form is this meeting a high school requirement?
Right.
Well, if it is, right choice. Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. It's available right now. It's yeah. So we did send out the summer form. They were released like a few weeks ago.
Check my student
Yeah.
email, check your my student email, check your my student email.
Yeah, I would also check that dual enrollment page, the Pasco County one. So the summer registration information is going to be on there too. But yeah, I think the deadline for them to submit the dynamic forms is April 10th. So you still have some time. Yeah, that's just to submit the forms so that we can go through the approval process, and then the registration window opens at the end of the month. Yeah, so they have time.
Is there an actual teacher in the classroom that they would help if they need help or they have to reach out to someone at
If they're taking classes here, they will have a teacher, yeah, certified. Yeah, and then if they're taking the class at the college, it'll just be their professor. And then if it's an online course, it'll just be like an email.
And PhD, I'm not 100% certain if they can, but PhD does have free services available. I do not know if dual enrollment can use that, but a lot of students use study clubs and stuff like that. But you can always see the students who use the PhD tutoring services for a PhD top class. It's free.
Yes, ma'am.
For the dynamic form, is that not available until the student meets the PERT or the SAT requirement? Or, like, is that, I'm trying to figure out the order of events and when this stuff is going to.
Yeah, so the online, the dynamic form for the fall isn't even available for anybody yet. But they won't, when they do the dynamic form, they won't even be able to be passed through unless they have the eligibility requirements done.
Okay, and then did I hear correctly from my daughter that there's going to be another PERT test that's offered at the end of April?
Not at Mandel Lake High School.
So, yeah, so what they're doing is they're offering, I think they're only offering one section, but it's for a very specific reason. I don't know if it's for dual enrollment, it's for something completely different. But I think they're only offering the reading portion of it, so they're not offering the writing or the math.
So no
No writing or math, yeah.
And then, so, okay, because I got that form, because she said I need to take the writing, I guess.
Okay.
She has to apply for the school first to be accepted. We went through that process, and I chose dual enrollment, but it still says waiting for a transfer, so.
Are you saying you tried to take the PhD?
So she needs to take the PERT now, just the writing portion.
Right.
Since it's not going to offer in the school.
Correct.
At one of the campuses.
Right.
So in order to do that, they have to apply to be registered as a student first.
For a student to take a PERT at PHSC, they have to have their PHSC ID. Yes.
Okay.
So they have to do the dual enrollment application.
Yes.
Okay. You're saying she did that?
She did that, and, I think that there was a period where it had to be activated, which now it's, it says hello, and it has a name, but it's showing that it's waiting for a transcript to be uploaded.
It was the dual enrollment.
It shows that.
So if you're having that issue, I recommend reaching out to the admissions department. You can either call them, you can either put in an email. I just know that they're not always, if they don't answer your phone, it's not because they don't want to. We're a very busy institution, so if something you want to get taken care of, sometimes I recommend going in person. They're open from 8 to 6, Monday through Thursday, and 4:30 on Fridays, or you can email. So if you ever have an issue with the actual application process, it's not like a technical based issue, it's just something that's something that will go expected. If you try to talk to the admissions first, I guess anything I can help with, but admissions, I'll be on the contact page on the website.
And she just said she did it, and I just did the same thing. I registered, signed her up for the test. It did ask for a transcript, and it was asking for, they had to go behind the scenes because there was something that didn't happen. They fixed it, and they were like, her report, her I called.
Yes, sir.
How are the dual enrollment classes at high school GPA? Are they similar to the AP courses, so about 5.0, no negative to do dual enrollment versus AP?
It's a great question. So the main difference, so they're weighted the same. So AP and dual enrollment classes are worth 5 points on a 4-point scale. The difference between the two is that with AP, you don't get the college credit unless you pass the exam. With dual enrollment, whatever grade you get in the class, that's the grade you get in the college transcript. It's a great question.
And then second question, if, like my son is taking an AP exam,
Right.
can he take dual enrollment AP history if he's already taken, he has dual enrollment history through the dual enrollment if he took AP history?
So I wouldn't, but it depends because let's say he's taking AP US history, but he doesn't get the score on the AP exam that gives him, he's technically taking the same course because they're both American history.
We really recommend against it.
Yeah, that's
It can put you in a weird spot if you're kind of doing college credit. Sometimes you'll be able to go away from the opportunity for dual enrollment. Because so I really recommend people to avoid, if they're taking AP class, to avoid taking that class because you're also, I would just we adamantly recommend it. You don't want to try to do too much with that and then end up being in a spot where you get wasted an opportunity to get a different class that you didn't take an AP test for.
Is that theory still hold? I understand maybe the same from an AP to a dual enrollment, it's very similar, but what if you took chemistry honors this year, but then there's a dual enrollment chemistry, which is probably more advanced than chemistry course.
That's completely different.
If you want email, I can always look his email out. We have a master transfer list that tells you how ACE general papers, AP classes.
That's also on that Pasco County dual enrollment.
Perfect. So there's a master list that tells you whatever you're doing over there and how it comes over.
But if you're taking chemistry honors and you want to take the DE chemistry, you should.
Yeah, definitely.
That's okay.
Because that would be almost similar to them taking chemistry honors and then taking AP chemistry. You can definitely do that. Yeah, good question. Yes, ma'am.
Once you take the first test, you will know that's a good question.
2 years.
To the date.
2 years.
2 years to the date.
So if you take it in March 2024, your scores will be valid until March 2026. Yeah.
So I Dual enrollment requires a very deep level of academic maturity. I know they already touched about that a little bit during the presentation, but whatever you do with dual enrollment, not to be dramatic, will follow you the rest of your academic life. I've had people I worked with who did dual enrollment for one semester, ended up not doing well, and I don't say flunking out, but just didn't take it seriously, and that has put them into academic suspension when they started with us. It can affect your financial aid. So just please, if you are doing dual enrollment, it's something you have to take seriously. It's not to scare you from it. Dual enrollment is an amazing resource that will help you out in a leg up on your academic tenure as you go on that journey, but you have to take it seriously. It's like your permanent record, quote unquote. It will follow you your whole academic time. And even if you think that you can just go to a different school, when you apply to schools, especially using financial aid, you have to send your transcripts from PHSC to that new school down the line. So if you do dual enrollment, it's very important you take it seriously. We're treating you as an adult. In the same way, if you're an adult, where parents are not allowed to call us and ask you about your student. We have things called FERPA, like much like HIPAA. So you can't call me and be like, how does my child do in the class? I don't have access to that anyways, but I can't tell you your student's schedule, I can't tell you where your student is. So it's very important that you understand that this is a very academic mature thing you have to do, and that parents that your students are acting almost like their own legal entity. There's a way to put in a FERPA form with admissions if you want a little more control, but just know that we're treating them like an adult at this point. That's my 2 cents from dual enrollment. But it's a great resource. I'm not saying that to dissuade you, just please, if you are going to do dual enrollment, take it very seriously.
No, that's a good point. Yes, ma'am. So the deadline for all of the dual enrollment steps to be complete for the fall is the last day of school. So I would, if you took the PERT, there's spots that you maybe need to remediate before you take it again. I would give yourself a few weeks just to study prepare. As long as you have the steps complete before the end of the school year, then you're okay. Yeah. So I say that when the forms come out, so we don't know what the deadlines are officially. The forms usually come out mid-April. Once those forms come out for the fall, we will know the exact deadline. But I would say shoot for maybe within the next month, and then by that time we should have the info that you need for the actual deadlines. Yes, sir.
Yes, are you guys able to speak on IB program?
That would be a question for the IB school counselor, for sure. For sure. Cool. Any other questions? No? Yes, ma'am.
Just to kind of piggyback on your question about the 6 core classes and dual enrollment, because, you know, the other question, is there the opportunity to take a 7th class like we are currently doing, 7 to 8 classes, like LES?
So whenever you're doing dual enrollment, you have the option to take PASCO, eScore, FLBS classes at any time. So if you're, let's say hypothetically, you want to take 4 DE classes, there has to be a spot on his schedule for 4 of those 4. But if you wanted to do 4 dual enrollment classes, 2 high school classes, and then an extra PASCO eSchool that's not dual enrollment, you can always do that.
And if the dual enrollment isn't offered here, but it's offered online, that can be set aside.
No, there has to be a spot for it on his schedule. Yeah. So the extra opportunity would be like an extra high school class. Yeah, that's a good question. Okay. Yes. Say that again. No, so that's a good question. So because the summer semester coincides and conflicts with the high school schedule, if you're taking summer dual enrollment courses, those will not be on your 908 schedule. So that is a little bit of a caveat because you have your 6 classes here. If you do summer semester with PHSC, those would be separate from the school schedule. Yeah.
Another important thing is the summer semester is only 10 weeks. So in a typical semester that you're allowed to take, since you're public school students, it's a 15-week semester, so you're still doing 15 weeks worth of work in 10 weeks. Again, academic maturity, I'm sure they'll mention that to you. Just make sure you understand that the summer semester is express, so it can be a little bit harder than a typical college class.
appreciate y'all for coming out. If you do have any questions, just feel free to email your grade level school counselor, and we will get back to you as soon as we can.
don't think they're allowed to be just wide open. I'll double check myself, because I'm not sure here myself.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
Yeah, I just know, because, especially with all the safety stuff.